Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. You can call me Mike for short if you like. And the painting I'm bringing you today is a little painting I did a couple days ago. It's basically me riffing on Granville Redmond and took a lot of liberties with the scene. Now, I have painted this scene before. If you pay close attention on the channel and go back maybe last year before, I did pretty much a full-blown study of this painting by Granville. But this painting, I swapped out his sky and I left off bits of his tree, and I did a bunch of things that I wanted to do. But I really liked his basic composition. And the other thing is, the reason for the small 4x6 size is I got a bit pressed this week and wasn't able to get much painting done. I had much bigger goals and aspirations, but rather than the time got away from me and the ability to follow through on those goals, so I did a small painting instead of no painting. And that would be my message to you, is that if you want to get good at painting, you can get some of these little boards, these little 4x6s. This the entire painting in the members area, where you can see the whole live session, is an hour and a half. That includes mixing session and a kind of an overview. In the members area, I give you an overview, blow by blow, where we're looking at the reference. I'm talking about things I don't like, or things I might want to change, or things I want to concentrate on, etc., and so on and so forth. So check that out. We just did our underpainting on some hardboard, which is primed with 2 coats of transparent gesso, and the underpainting was done with some basically modified burnt umber, modified with perylene green, which counteracts some of the red properties. Gives me a nice neutral. And I also did my color mixing session in advance of the drawing session. Don't usually do that. And my goal was to try and do the painting in around an hour. It, like I said, took an hour and a half. But, you know, I got a painting done that day. Basically, I had a meeting in the afternoon. I knew I wasn't going to be able to paint in the afternoon. So there you go. We made a painting, and I felt good about my life and my process, and having got a painting done and something to show you. I'm working on, and that's a little break from the seascape thing. Very much a tonalist type scene. And just so you know, Granville Redmond, he was a tonalist painter, late 1800s, early 1900s, lived in California. So he was a famous California painter, and quite prolific. He was also deaf. He happened to be deaf, and he was also known for playing character roles in the silent movie era. So Granville Redmond was in some of those early silent movies. A bit of interesting facts for you. I like Granville Redmond quite a lot. I'm not a huge fan. He's not super high on my list, but I've always had a thing for this particular scene. I love the composition, and yeah. And as far as like that riffing on things go, I didn't start doing that until maybe last year before, when I would do a study after someone. It was usually quite a faithful rendition. But there are times when I feel like, well, I don't have to do a faithful rendition. And the sort of mode of operation is very much like a cover song. You might want to do a song that someone else recorded, maybe even had a hit with, but you want to do your own take, your own version of it. And that's what I do when I'm doing the riffing thing. It's been a while. Been a while since we riffed on anyone. First time we riffed on Redmond. A lot of times I'm riffing on Camille Corot or Dupree. I've done a lot of riffing on Dupree paintings. Yeah. Anyway, we got our sky in, and maybe you noticed I follow a pretty similar approach with every landscape painting I do. When I do other types of paintings with my students and things, we do change things up. I might go with just a color block in instead of a a sepia tone underpainting. But I do an underpainting, and then I do the sky, and then I do the darks in the landscape, and then we bring the rest up to meet the sky. From the darks in the landscape to the next dark, and so on and so forth, until we're into lightest tones in the landscape. That doesn't mean that every painting is going to be the same. It just means that I have an approach that works for me consistently, and that's something I might, you may or may not want to do my approach. I'm very open about sharing it, because I think one of the keys to being a successful painter is knowing how to break down the process into bite-sized chunks. I want to talk a little bit more about that, but we got a quick ad for the book coming up, and didn't see a lot of orders last week, but maybe you've been waiting, maybe you've been on the fence, maybe you've been thinking, or maybe your partner was going to buy you this book. It's not a super cheap expense. It's $60, and I wish I could make it cheaper for you, but unfortunately I live here in the rear end portion of the planet, very far from most everyone else. And international shipping is just exorbitant, but I'm happy to ship it to you. I was happy to make it, and it's chock-a-block of information. I'm getting a lot of great feedback back from people on it that are finding it helpful in their process. Yeah. Anyway, you can break everything that you may want to do down into bite-sized chunks. This is really one of the ways that you can become quite prolific. Like here, we broke it down, and at any point in my process, I can take a break. Like if this was a larger painting, I might only have time to do the sky. Maybe I got time to do the underpainting one day. Next day I come in and work over the dry underpainting. I do the sky, or maybe the sky and a portion of the land, or if there's a seascape, maybe the sky and I could do the ocean, or I do the land. I save the ocean for another time. You can even break it down to, going after certain tonal ranges, but I don't get that nuts with it. I just try to make sure that I'm going after things that I can accomplish. So pre-mixing the colors is always a good plan, because if you have pre-mixed colors sitting on your bench drying, your odds of actually getting back to work and painting, they really go up quite a lot. Oh, by the way, so that little bit of grass I'm painting here, I wanted to go lighter on our right side, but it's a little too much white in there. You'll see me coming there with a bit more green later. Also, I tended to make the diagonal of the hill a little less steep than Granville had it. And another thing I want to point out is this little bit of trees up in the distance there on top of the hill. Yeah, I've debated that, whether I'm just going to leave that or not, but I guess I will, since I'm doing the video here. He had several little trees on the hill, and that's the thing. If you are scaling things way down in size, you don't want to try and paint little masses of tiny trees on the distant hill. You kind of group it up to just be one tree. And in general, this would be the case with anything you're going after. You need to simplify what it is you're painting, even in a case like this where I'm going after the work of a past master. I totally simplified this for the just from the fact that his painting was probably something like 18 by 24 inches. Mine's 4 by 6, so just a fraction of the size. You could go blind trying to paint in a bunch of niggling details, and you may be new here, so I don't mind maybe communicating a bit about this idea. Details are never going to make your painting better, really. A couple crucial details can can really finish a painting off nicely. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but what I am saying is if your painting isn't going well, you insisting on cramming additional amounts of detail into it is not going to make it better. And it's very funny because we know a lot of things in life. If we just work harder, we apply ourselves more, we can make things better. And in a sense, that's sort of true of painting, but it may not be manifest in that actual painting because, and this is another point I like to make, and I make this one with students quite a lot. If you say you had a struggle bit of your painting where you're really having a hard time getting that bit of the image across, it could have been a bunch of rocks, or it could have been a certain tree, or it could have been anything. Maybe there was a house or something in there, or a figure. To the degree that you have to spend a lot of time wrangling with that particular aspect of your painting, it will tighten up, and instead of having a nice even flow of energy throughout your work, you're going to have a bit that is forcing people to focus on it. And the really sad thing is that they're focusing on something that isn't awesome. It's the little struggle thing. So what can you do about this? Unfortunately, not much when it comes to the actual painting. You can just put your painting out there into the world with that little struggle bit on there, and just know that maybe it was a little less great than you'd hoped it could be. If it's really bad, you could scrape it off and come back another day where you're fresh. Or my recommendation, I usually go with option one. If it's not absolutely terrible, I'll just leave it, and I know that it's a little less than the amazing thing I was going for. But I do note it. I'm not a big believer in the whole self-deception thing, like trying to talk yourself into things looking good that don't. And this is the last thing I want to leave you with is, like, as you progress, you need to get more paintings done, and the reason is, as you get more paintings done, your ability to detect the problem areas of your work will become greatly enhanced, really even. And so this is where I'm coming from as a painter that's been doing this a while. Every now and again I'm learning, that doesn't look good, that doesn't work, I thought I was doing pretty good, but I need to do better with this particular thing. There's lots of things with the seascapes, but we're not doing a seascape today, so we won't spend a lot of time talking about that. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully you got some watching me do this little neato little 4x6. It's a neat little painting, and happy to it will be in the store. You can go ahead and purchase it and have your very own personal M. Francis McCarthy. Please leave me a comment if you got this far in the video. I really appreciate that. And until I come back with another video for your edification and enjoyment, hopefully for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do me a solid, take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble, and God bless you and your family.